All right, so everything is good from these sites. And now I can start downloading my version. I want to download my version. So I'll click install because it might take some time, and I agree, okay? So it tells me to download this, but this isn't the whole program. This is the downloader that will get the program from the site. So I say, get me Autodesk 3D Max 2023, come on. Here's the downloader. Start downloading the program from the Autodesk website. The application should open now. The downloader should be running in the background and appear. It's working but taking time. I began with the practical part to show how to get the program. I'll discuss it after the Maghrib prayer, but this part is about obtaining and managing the program. How to use the Autodesk site, enter the application, choose Autodesk 3D Max, and start downloading. This is crucial for setup, so I have the program here. It will download in the drive, but I have no space left. It's working but slow. What should I do? How do we create the Autodesk site? I'll enter the application, choose Autodesk 3D Max, and download it. The installation starts at 0% and shows the download progress from 2% to 100%. After that, it works. How do we create the Autodesk site? I'll choose Autodesk 3D Max to download. This is crucial for my work setup. It says it will download in the drive, but I have no space left. I'm telling it to leave the Autodesk file, just download everything. The installation starts at 0%, showing progress from 2% to 100%. After that, it works. Let me switch screens if you don't mind. Let's talk about the 3D Max program until it finishes. So I'm telling him to leave the Autodesk program file. It's not a problem. Download everything. I have enough space. The installation starts at 0%, showing the download progress from 2% to 100%. After that, it starts working. This is excellent. Let me switch to another screen so I don't waste your time. Come with me to the other screen. Let's talk about the 3D Max program until it finishes. It's currently downloading to the device. It's reached 9%. It's downloading from the Moataz site, and its size is 6.4 GB for the latest version, version 20. Let me switch to another screen if you don't mind, so I don't waste your time. Come with me to the other screen I'm on right now. Let's talk a bit about the 3D Max program until it finishes. I hope everyone can see the presentation screen that's in front of me. Can everyone see it? Yes, great, Dr. Dalal. It's currently working for me, and it's downloading to the device. It's reached 9%. It's downloading from the Moataz site, and I might find its size is 6.4 GB for the latest version, version 20. These are older versions, but on the Moataz site, you'll find AutoCAD. For those in the engineering field who want AutoCAD and other programs, the materials they work with are all available on the Moataz site and on Autodesk. Of course, it's working for me. It's reached 11%, and I'll show you how everything is going. But what's important to me right now, until it finishes, is that I'm wasting a bit of time. So let's move on with the presentation. Welcome back to our training. Last session was about obtaining the program. I'll share a few methods. Now, we'll explore the theoretical framework for our 2-day training. We still have 5.5 hours to continue. We'll discuss animation concepts, the educational role of animated films, historical perspectives, and the Egyptian experience. So we still have, God willing, 5.5 hours over the next 2 days to continue our discussion. And with us is your colleague, Dr. Abdul Rahman San, the consultant for the e-learning and distance education office at the university. Let's take a look at our agenda for today. Of course, what I have here are not all the training elements, but today we're talking about the concept of animation, the educational role of animated films, a historical perspective, and the Egyptian experience. Of course, the Egyptian experience isn't just an Egyptian one, it's a broader Arab experience. But why did I focus on the Egyptian experience? because it's a pioneering experience from the 1930s and 1940s, back when Walt Disney was making Tom and Jerry, and even before Tom and Jerry, to be in a pioneering Egyptian experience. The Frankel brothers created work that established a leading role, which is the Egyptian experience in animated films. Now, there's a model for producing animation that I talked about, which involves scientists who conduct research and produce according to a scientific model. The presentation isn't a video, it's a series of images. Images are shown in sequence to create the illusion of movement. There's a model for producing animation that I talked about, which involves scientists who conduct research and produce according to a scientific model. And it's standing like this, a picture of it standing like this. But from the left, it tells you that the films are being transferred, and the images are displayed in sequence at a certain speed, so that when they reach the viewer's eye, they create the illusion of movement, or there's no movement at all. So these are sequential frames of images displayed in a certain order and at a specific speed to create the illusion of movement when the image reaches the eye. I hope what I'm saying is clear. And it's evident that this isn't a video, but these are several sequential images of a horse in motion. Sometimes it's lifting its legs, sometimes it's coming down, and sometimes it's just like this to give you the impression or illusion of movement right in front of you. So we can say that animation, or the term animation, is a collection of images displayed in sequence at a certain speed to create a trick for the human eye, like movement, right? And here we can say, what's the reason for this? It's because the still image remains on the retina for a certain time, and that time is very brief, measured at about 20 milliseconds. So in 1 second, if you have 10 frames, you can display them quickly in 1 second. But of course, there's a standard where we display it at 20 frames if we're showing it on a computer. And of course, there's also the system service for the ball. There are systems, but they aren't widely watched. We have the PAL system. Other systems run at 30 frames per second. You can change these settings. Cinemas have unique display systems on TV in some countries. Animation is an artistic style in films, with shots recorded and displayed in sequence to create movement. Animated films play an educational role. Any film, of course, cinemas have their own display system on television in certain countries, which can be different for specific films. The next video systems are multiple, and they control the number of films available. So when we talk about animation here, animation is like an artistic style used in films in cinemas. These shots are recorded and displayed in sequence, as I mentioned, to give you the impression of movement in a single film. This confirms what I said earlier. Now, very quickly, when we talk about the educational role of animated films, we have animated films that engage the senses. Any film, not just animated films, when you say these shots are recorded and displayed in sequence, as I mentioned, to give you the impression of movement in a single film. This confirms what I said earlier. Now, very quickly, when we talk about the educational role of animated films, we have animated films that engage the senses. Any film. Animated films are not just standalone creations, they are part of a larger cinematic universe. When discussing these films, it's essential to consider the broader context of storytelling that they represent. These films bring learning through entertainment in a new term resulting from The Mask. And the rise is present even until you, in the help. Edutainment is a term that combines education and entertainment. You have the term education and another term entertainment. So you get edutainment. If you search for it on Google, you'll find it mentioned as education through entertainment. This approach engages all the senses of the learner. There's video with sound that engages hearing, and there are images that engage sight. So it creates an audiovisual educational system, not like cassettes and radios that rely solely on hearing. Although that's a good method, especially for people who travel long distances by car, they can rely on an audio learning system. And this edutainment approach engages all the senses of the learner. There's video with sound that appeals to hearing, and there are images that appeal to sight. So it creates an audiovisual educational system, not like cassettes and radios that rely solely on hearing. Although that's a really good method, especially for people who travel long distances by car, they can rely on an audio learning system.